Okay, so this is massage therapy review note cards for chapter 2. Anyway, so it's basically the everything in bold and the matching exercises we did at the end of the chapter. So here we go. Therapeutic relationship is the relationship between therapist and client that seeks to support his or her therapeutic goals. Empathy. The ability to understand the unique world of another. Acceptance. The therapist accepts the client for who he or she is, including physical, mental, and spiritual and emotional aspects. Safety. Freedom from danger has several implications in the therapeutic relationship. Legal, anatomy, and physiology, knowing it, and if you don't, then the repercussions that come along with it. Professional boundaries. Trust. Willingness to be vulnerable to the actions of another. Respect. Refers to a consideration or thoughtfulness exhibited by words and actions. Power differential. Client has a particular need and comes to another for help. The therapist who has knowledge, skills, and abilities in that specific area. The client is in a position of vulnerability. They're undressed. The therapist is the one who has the skill set that the client needs. The therapist ends up being in a position of authority. I just wrote down some notes on that card that I took from the lecture with Ms. D. Legal issues are associated with laws, rules, and regulations. Disclosure. Honest and open sharing of personal knowledge as well as insights and ideas. Confidentiality. Non-disclosure of privileged information. Exception to the rule for confidentiality. Professional confidentiality is limited by 2 factors. 1, the therapist's obligation to the law, if they're subpoenaed by court for the records of any client. And the second one is the therapist's obligation to others, releasing records to other health care providers such as another therapist or hospital, etc. Boundary. Parameters indicating a border or limit. And then I went over types of boundaries. Physical boundaries. Create a safe space around us. Who, what, when, where, how, and under what circumstances we feel safe with touch. Intellectual boundaries. Encompass our belief, thoughts, and ideas. Boundaries continue. Emotional boundaries. Revolve around our feelings, must also be considered while in a therapeutic relationship. Time, location, appearance, and financial boundaries are also listed in the book. Client neglect. This one is she made sure we asterisk in our notes by this one and the next one. So, client neglect. Unintentional physical or emotional harm resulting from therapist's insensitivity or lack of knowledge. She went over this a good deal with examples in lecture. The next one is client abuse. This one she also went over in lecture. physical or emotional harm sustained from deliberate acts of the therapist. And then the types of abuse are emotional, physical, sexual, and financial. These next two, transference and countertransference, Ms. D let us know that they would be on any exams that we take as far as MBLEX and our school exams, so that they're important. Transference is when a client transfers feelings, thoughts, and behaviors related to a significant other from their early life onto the therapist. Her example was I think it was like a client thinking that you look like their sibling, and immediately they automatically treat you differently. They're more open with you, the touchy-feely, that would be transference. Countertransference. This is when the therapist brings an unresolved emotional issue or personal need into a therapeutic relationship. Her example was an older lady walks in and automatically we associate that person with like a grandmother who passed away. So immediately after the session we want to spend more time with that person. We want to be near that person just because they give us that feeling that we had when we were with our grandmother or whatever. So that was the example she used. A next one that we talked about in length and we went around the classroom for examples was dual relationships. These occur when we have more than one type of relationship with a client, more than just a therapeutic relationship. She gave examples like people who are married. That's one relationship, and then but they're also your client, or your boss at a job at the bank ends up being your massage therapy client, or your sister-in-law ends up being your massage therapy client. That'd be a dual relationship. Sexual misconduct involves any sexual contact between a therapist and client, as well as any sexualizing of the therapeutic relationship. I respect Ms. V a lot for really being open and honest with us about this one, and for instilling in us that respect for our new profession as therapists. So I know she gave the example of that TV show, The Client List, and a couple clients had actually, in real life scenarios, had opened to the therapist as, have you seen The Client List, and what we do if that were to ever happen, and how we deal with those scenarios. So, but I know sexual misconduct will never happen from any of us. So. Those were the notes that I wrote for Chapter 2. There was a few more that were in there, but I had them memorized pretty well, so I didn't write note cards for them. If you have any questions over MTH Chapter 2, let me know, and I'll go over the matching exercises or whatever. Just let me know. I read Chapter 5. It was not my favorite chapter, but I read Chapter 5 and I did the matching exercises, and I can go over those in a video as well if you like. I know I went over Chapter 3, so let me know. Right. Bye.